Why are you happy with that part of your life right now? Even if you're not happy with everything, what's the area you're happy with and why? Put me on hold right now, or if you're not going to do that, just think for a moment. Why? Specifically, be real. Why? Now, when I ask this, if you turn me back on now, if I ask this of an audience, I'll have people write this down for a few minutes and I'll call on people and I'll say, share with the person next to you first. What are you happy about and why are you happy in that area? And be specific. And after they share, I'll have people stand up, I'll call on a variety of people and I say, ma'am, tell me, what are you happy about? And she'll say, well, honestly, I'm really happy with my body. She goes, I never thought I'd say that, but I used to be so unhappy with it. And you know, I did some things, I pushed myself through, and now I exercise regularly, and I'm not perfect, but I feel fit, I feel strong, I feel energetic, and that's really, I don't know, it just feels good to me. Now, I say to everybody, I'm now going to show you what the formula for happiness is, and it's real simple. I want to reveal it to you so you don't ever forget it. Whenever you're happy with an area of your life, it's because right now, your current life experience, I call it your LC, your life conditions, the conditions of your life conditions in that area match or are equal to your blueprint, your story, your belief about how life should be in that area. So this woman says to me, I'm really happy with my body because it's not perfect. Her blueprint is I don't need to be perfect, but it's so much better than it was. I'm fit and I'm strong and I have this energy. Her mental blueprint says, I should be fit, strong, and have energy. I don't need to be perfect, but I should be that way. Well, when my life, my body matches how I think it should be, I feel good about my life. I'll ask somebody else. I'll say, tell me an area you're happy with. Someone else will say, well, I'm really happy with my career. And why? Well, I'm doing better than I even thought I would be. I'm ahead of the schedule of where I hoped I'd be at this stage. I'm working at this level in this company, and I have these skills and this ability, and it's even better than I thought. Well, once again, listen, this person's happy with this area of their life because their current life conditions in the area called their career are even better than they expected they would be, better than their blueprint, better than their belief of how it should be. If it's really better, you tend to be over the moon. One woman would say, I gotta tell you, I said, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my whole life. How come? She goes, because I have this man in my life and I'm in love with him and he loves me and I can be myself with him. And we have this incredible intimacy and this passion and we want to be with each other all the time. And I never get bored with him. You want to be with somebody that you can have total intimacy with, somebody who you love and loves you. Those are part of her rules, her beliefs of how it should be. She said, it needs to be, I never want to be with anybody else. I want to be with them every moment. Her blueprint about how life should be and the way she lives, her relationship's even better than she hoped. When it's better than you hoped, you're going to be totally excited. So think about this then. What's an area you're not happy with? Let's see if we can find the formula for unhappiness. If the formula for happiness is to be able to meet your expectations or exceed them, that really makes you excited, but to be happy, you gotta at least meet it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you generally are meeting what you expect you want from your life in that area, you feel good. Life conditions match blueprint, feel good. So what makes you feel bad? What creates pain, stress, frustration? Real easy way to figure it out. Answer this question. What's an area of your life you're not happy with? I mean, be honest with yourself. And even if your life is great in all kinds of ways, I'm sure there's an area you'd like to improve. Anybody who's honest, if they're doing great in their career, very often they don't take care of their body so much. If they're really focused on their body, very often they find themselves in a position where they're not spending enough time with their kids. Or if they're spending time with their kids, their intimate relationship's not doing so well. Because it's the nature of human beings to focus on areas they feel comfortable with and strong in and give those time.
What are the elements of turning nothing into something? Only humans can do this. Here they are. Number one, imagination. Imagine the possibilities. It's hard to say imagination is not something. It's just that it's not tangible. Imagination is not, it's not a table, but it is powerful. Imagination. For that long journey, saved my life. Believe that it's possible for you. A little phrase says, with faith, all things are possible. Without faith, nothing's possible. If there's one thing to pray for, that's probably it. Faith to believe. One, to imagine. Number two, faith to believe. What would make us believe? Testimonials? Someone finishes a dramatic testimonial. Here's where I started, when I was 18 years old. Here's where I am today. And then they finish by saying, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. Come on, right? I started just like you. I read the first book. I went to the first class. I made the first decision to start the process of change. That's how we get inspired. 1, to imagine. 2, to believe. Then here's number 3. Go to work and make it real. How to turn nothing into something. That's how this complex of buildings got here. Someone saw them when the property was vacant. You say, well, how can you see something that isn't there? Well, if someone can't see it when it isn't here, it will never be here. And some people can see it so clearly, they could give you the artist's rendering and say to you, this is the building. You say, no, it doesn't exist. Say, yes, it really does. In thought, in mind, in imagination. Then to believe that it's possible for you. Then simply go to work. That kind of teaching, that kind of training, right? The management of your time, the management of your money. I've been teaching now all these years the 70, 10, 10, and 10 on the management of your money. A lady not long ago told me she was in real estate. I said, how many properties do you own? She said, no, Mr. Rohn, I sell real estate. I said, let me ask the question one more time. How many properties do you own? She said, not any. So here's what I said. If you sell real estate, you make a living. If you buy real estate, you make a fortune. Let me tell you one of the incredible real estate stories. 13 years ago, Ron Wagenhals up in Carmel, California, said, Mr. Rohn, I have this neat little condo downtown Carmel where I know you want to live. I said, yes, I do. And he said, it's really small, but it's right there downtown, 1 bedroom. And he said, I want $80,000 for it. I said, nobody's going to pay $80,000. I mean, this is a real tiny place.
There was one line in there that hit me and it stuck. And the one line was, like the dude that came to see him on the horse. Like, I don't know if y'all remember the movie, but he was riding with him. Like, he was riding with him at every single battle. Like, it was a point in every single battle when it got tough, and Leonidas with his 300, when it got a little tough, he would call on the Arcadians, and they'll come from between the rocks, they'll come out with their crew, and they'll wipe out whoever they was going against, and they'll handle it, right? And so at a certain point, my man saw up on the hill, he saw a little humpback dude, and he saw some more soldiers, more than they had ever saw. And so he came to him, but he was riding with him at every single battle, but he came to him when he saw more than he had ever saw, and he said to him, it's over. They told him they'll give him everything he was fighting for. They came to him at one point, they came to the United States, they said, we'll give you everything you want. Like, you fighting for your land, you can have your land. You want water, like you can have your water. Everything you fighting for, we'll give it to you, and we'll make you king. You'll reign supreme over everything, and everybody got to report to you. They told him that, but they said one word, and when they said the one word, he'll walk off and he'll shake his head. And the one word that they said was submit. Every time they mentioned submission, it was like he just went into another mode, and he wasn't trying to hear him. So when my man came to him on the horse, he said, we got to submit. When he said we got to submit, you saw his eyes got big, and he transformed into something else. He went to him, the thing that stuck to me, Duke, he told him, every man must search his own soul. And he said, while you at it, like you've been battling with me, you've been going with me, but when the adversity and the opposition and the challenge got tough, you said, you got to go. Like, we dead. So while you at it, you search your own soul and you run off and you tell everybody we gonna stand and we gonna live and we gonna die by what we stand for, and everybody gonna know what we represent and what we're a part of. Because we said at a certain point, we said we was gonna live and we gonna die by it. And the thing I love about sports and the thing I love about life, whatever you want, you gotta be willing to accept whatever come with it. Like, it's like a cat in the street. If you wanna be a gangster, you can't be a gangster until you meet a gangster. Like, you can't be a warrior until you meet a warrior. You say, no, I don't want to be a warrior no more. Like, you got to be willing to accept whatever come with it. And he was talking about 11, 15 meetings, and I was talking to Rob in the car, and I said, man, the dangerous thing about having talent, like when you're in the league, everybody can run fast, jump high, hit cats. Everybody can cut it and slice it however you want to cut it and slice it. Everybody can play ball, right? But the thing about it, I told Rob, you got to be careful when you got talent, because sooner or later, if you're not careful, you can become a victim of your own talent. And when you become a victim of your own talent, you don't value the small things anymore. And at a certain point in the early years, the small things were the foundation. And this is the thing that got you to the point that you are at now. But now we don't value it because we feel as if we've gotten to a certain point. Like, adversity is adversity. Opposition is opposition. Challenges are challenges. But it's not so much about the opposition and the adversity that we face as it is about the perspective that we have about the opposition and the adversity that we face. Meaning, perspective drives performance every day of the week. How you view what you do will always affect how you do what you do. Like, I love 300 just because when they said retreat, my man, like, we ain't going nowhere. You came to me, you disrespected my wife, you disrespected, like he could have quit, he could have stopped fighting for it. But the purpose for what he was fighting for was greater than any individual, and so he went to war, the purpose. Meaning the thing of what he was fighting for was greater than any individual, was greater than any 300. And when he died, I'll never forget, one of the soldiers laid down, he said, man, it was an honor to die by you.
True leadership is when a leader takes other followers and makes them leaders. That's true leadership. So when your message has to stay consistent, I have a duty. The first thing we must know is our why. Why? Because I am a child of the God. Stop right there. My how and my what, all the tangible things that gets me to those places. But when you talk about why the message has to be consistent, because the right people connecting to the right message right timing. And that's where a lot of kids, definitely in today's time, their instant gratification comes from social media, comes from Instagram, comes from all of these different things. But me and you're old enough, none of that didn't exist.
Right.
So who did we have to lean on? It was a foundation. And so that foundation is what I believe why kids struggle so much these days, not just kids. Because the foundation of what I've always understood is what I've always exercised my whole life. Since I was a junior deacon in the church since 10, right? Right? You ever went to church sometimes, right? And you ain't been in a while. And then you go back, and as soon as you get in there, the first paragraph sounds like the pastor's talking directly to you. What about me? Do he know my business?
Yeah.
But all it is just confirming the disconnect.
Yeah. And he's talking through.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Man, look, we have a real duty. And I'm telling you this, like, this is why I'm so inspired to change one life a day. Maybe I change more, but one life a day. Why? Kid called me last night. Papa, I'm really frustrated going through this. I sent him this information. He has cancer with some stuff, dealing with some stuff. He came back. He was like, I never knew that I had the choice to live. I say, absolutely you have the choice. But watch what happens. And I'm gonna use the analogy of animals, right? Why is a lion the king of the jungle? He's not the biggest. He's not the strongest. He's not the fastest. The only thing that sets a lion different than an elephant is his mentality. That's it. When he walks up, he must be respected. Period. An elephant weighs 50 times more than this lion. So why wouldn't the elephant look at the lion and say, mentality? If an eagle flies at a certain altitude, if he bumps into another bird up there, it must be another eagle. Because pigeons don't fly at that altitude.
They can.
They can, but they don't. And so that's where we have to really understand what life really is. Life is really being that leader that inspires other followers to become leaders, not follow. The only reason eagles fly alone, this is why eagles don't flock. You rarely see an eagle with other eagles.
They don't want to be affected by the perspective.
By other people's perspective.
My man, when I was 23 and I would like see some of my high school friends for like football during Thanksgiving, and they all looked at me like, oh, you work at your dad's liquor store? My man, the chemicals in my body, I love it. The adversity, the negative is the advantage. People fear losing. And when you're losing from the get, when you start off losing, you don't fear losing, you just convince yourself the game is rigged and you start dwelling. If I can get you to stop dwelling, and if I can get you to stop fearing losing, then you're off to the races. I leave money on the table every day. I can Tony Robbins and Oprah this shit to the fucking end of life. I'm just not interested. I'm interested in doing me, documenting what I'm doing, putting out content, and if you happen to pick up on that.
Got it.
You're pumped and you want to email me and say, you know, I was this and now I'm that. That's a high that nobody can ever understand, but I don't want to do that full time. I don't care what your point of view is. I went to Mount Ida College, 95% minority kids. I went to the mall 7 times in the first 14 days that I went to Mount Ida College. I got pulled over 4 times. You know why? Because the other 3 kids in the car with me were black. I'm like, unless you live that, you can't understand that. And I didn't live it. I was close to it, but I'm still not it. But like, don't sit somewhere where you've never interacted with a culture and judge. You don't know what you're talking about. In the same way in reverse. Like when I'm on shows like this, or when I talk to homies, or when I'm talking to the culture, and I'm like, yo, I got friends who have $10 million in the bank, trust fund babies who are more miserable than you. They're like, get the hell out of here. I'm like, you have no empathy. That sounds good.
Right.
What do you think it feels like when you've lost before you started? Because no matter what you accomplish, everybody's gonna be like, your daddy put you on. You suck. Michael Jackson. Like, what world? Like, I know that, like, it feels bad and there's all these things. It's better in life than ever now. Not because we're better as people, but because the internet is decentralizing the world. All this cryptocurrency, Bitcoin stuff, everybody's in the craze. They're not being thoughtful. It's not about Bitcoin. It's about blockchain and what that technology means, which means you and I can sell you my home. One quick transaction on the blockchain, we both trust it, it's good, and none of the banks and all these people get their hands in our business.
Right.
Like, shit's going down. So go get yours. Like stop telling me you're gonna, or stop telling me like you got held back. If you have a smartphone, and guess what? All of you do. Well, then you have a studio in your pocket. If you're so good, spit your do I have to tell you about all the people that went and did car studio videos and put it on Instagram and are popping? Like, stop bullshitting. Now there's no more excuses. Here's what's gonna happen over the next 100 years, and I'm glad I'm putting it on film and audio right now, because either maybe I'll be alive because technology's changing, or my great-grandkids are gonna be proud of me. We're about to go through the craziest 100 year of human beings. We're going to take one big step backwards. We're in the beginning stages. I think we're gonna have a 10, 12 year of tension about all this shit. Right? This is not, by the way, this is not going away tomorrow. You have to understand what's gonna happen. Everybody's gonna get called to the mat. And then what people are gonna realize over the next 20, 30 years is like, wait a minute, everybody's flawed on something. Who's perfect? There's not a person in this room that doesn't do something that all the rest of us would judge as a real bad thing. It's just the way it is. So it's gonna take us 40 years to get there. But once we do, people are gonna be like, okay, wait a minute, we need to reset. Like, if everybody's got something, we need to react appropriately to that something. We need to have different conversations. Like the way we treat alcoholism today or depression today, the way we didn't 30 or 40 years ago, right? That scarlet letter is gonna change. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna live totally different lives. We're gonna be far more acceptant of shortcomings over time, because the hypocrisy is gonna be out the bag. Because if I ever think Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or George Bush or Donald Trump has any impact on me, I'm a fucking loser.
It is inherent in the nature of physical existence of life forms that challenges are an essential ingredient of their lifespan here, and part of the way through which they evolve. But when they say they evolve, really means it's the one consciousness evolves, awakens into this dimension through the different life forms in different ways. And it awakens only because we are being challenged. And that is quite a relief to realize to be challenged doesn't mean there's something wrong. There's something wrong with my life that shouldn't be. If you believe or act as if this shouldn't be happening, then you get really unhappy. Then the challenges become transformed into unhappiness inside you. If it's not unhappiness, it's resentment. If it's not resentment, it's anger. It's self-pity, it's complaining, it's despondency. For the simple reason that you are misunderstanding the very purpose of life and expecting something that your mind has come up with. It should be different.
Some people are afraid of not succeeding in whatever they do because they have a their self-image, which is derived from thinking, would suffer. If I fail at something, then my self-image will be injured, and therefore I'm not even going to try. And again, that's to do with deriving your identity from thinking. And even the thought, I have failed, is a lie. I am a failure is an even greater lie. You have not failed, you can simply reinterpret and say, I have learned something here. This is not for me, for example. So, but why believe the lies that your mind produces? So, as you know, many people live with a very hostile mind. But those people their motivation would probably be very great, I would hope, to get out of their minds. But first they need to realize that their problems are self-generated, mind-generated.
That every successful person has to do, including you. Believe it or not, every successful person in this world has jumped. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. You are going to have to jump. You cannot just exist in this life. You have got to try to live. If you are waking up thinking that there's got to be more to your life than it is, man, believe that it is. Believe in your heart of hearts that it is. But to get to that life, you're going to have to jump. You see people in life, when you're standing on the cliff of life and you see people soaring by, when you see people soaring, going to exotic places, you hear about them doing wonderful things. Maybe you look up the street and your neighbor just gets a car every year, every 2 years. You know, how is he doing that? Have you ever thought, maybe this person right here has identified their gift and is living in their gift? Because your Bible says, your Bible says your gift will make room for you. Your gift, not your education. You go get an education, that's nice. But if you don't use your gift, that education only gonna take you so far. I know a lot of people got degrees, man, they ain't even using. It's your gift. But the only way for you to soar is you got to jump. You got to take that gift that's packed away on your back. You got to jump off that cliff and pull that cord. That gift opens up and provides the soar. If you don't ever use it, you're gonna just go to work. And if you're getting up going to work on a job every day that you hate going to, that ain't living, man. You just existed. At one point in time, you ought to see what living's like. But the only way to see what living like, you gotta jump. And here's the problem. I'm gonna just be real with you. When you first jump, let me tell you something. Your parachute will not open right away. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you it did, but it don't. When you jump, it's not going to open right away. You're gonna hit them rocks. You're gonna get some skin tore off on them cliffs. You're gonna get all your clothes tore off. You're gonna get some cuts on you. You're gonna be bleeding pretty bad. But eventually, the parachute has to open. That is a promise of God. Here's another thing. You can play it safe and deal without the cuts and the tears. And you can stand on that cliff of life forever safe. But if you don't jump, I got another promise I can make you. Your parachute will never open. You'll never know. You'll never know what God really has. I was speaking at a school once. I was talking to the students. The principal was mortified with my message because I was telling the truth. I was telling the kids, your education is important, but your education is not the most important thing in your life. I'm sorry, it's not. Your dream is the most important thing in this world. Principal came up on the stage while I was speaking. Don't ever say that to my school again. Well, I'm just telling you, dog. You can save your kids a lot of pain if you ever talk to them about their dreams. You got to talk to young people about their dreams. If you talk to kids about their dreams, your dreams can spur you to get the education. But if you never find out what a child is dreaming about, you can't hold their attention. It's the dream, man. You got to dream about something so big that it dwarfs all your fears. The way you overcome fear is with your dream. You got to make your dream so big that nothing matters except that dream. You're willing to do everything that's necessary. I was listening to Will Smith the other day. Will Smith said the best things in life is on the other side of fear. It's on the other side of fear. But fear freezes people, man. The fear of failure freezes people. Suppose I don't do it. Well, you might not make it. But I got news for you. If you don't do it, you damn sure ain't gonna make it. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I talk to so many people who get older, like some of us are, and they've lost the faith. Well, faith is really simple. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. All that means is in the beginning, you just hope something pop off. You know, you just kind of hope something happened for you. I was hoping I would get on TV. I wrote it on a piece of paper when I was 10. I want to be on TV. The problem I had when I wrote it at 10 was I suffered from a severe stuttering problem. I could not talk outside of my house. So can you imagine when I wrote on a piece of paper, I want to be on TV, and turned that in? The first thing the little boy next to me asked me, he 10, well, how long is your TV show going to be? Because you're going to be on TV all day. But when I wrote it on the paper, it wasn't factual. It was just hoping. You just got to start with the hope. Faith is the substance of things that you hope for. You just hope something jump. Then what happened is, through grace and favor, he give you a couple of them things you hope for, and then you're supposed to start believing then, because now it turns into faith. But if you take this scripture, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Albert Einstein said that imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attractions. That's what your imagination is. Your imagination is actually very, very real. Everything you imagine could be a preview to life's coming attraction. Everything we have today came from somebody's imagination.
We're talking about the future education, and I was taking the approach from adult learning theory and brain science, and he was approaching it from more technology and scale. And somebody who was listening asked the question saying, is there anything missing? You know, what's missing happens in theory and technology. And we were talking about it, we came to the conclusion is understanding human motivation. Because motive matters, right? And what drives us. I always tell people that there's this success formula. I subscribe to it. I call it H cubed. That it goes from your head to your heart to your hands. Especially in the personal development space, or what they teach about goal setting. You could affirm things in your head, or think things in your head, or visualize things in your head. But if you're not acting with your hands, there's something that's missing, right? There's an incongruency there. And what I tell people is, check in with the second H, which is your heart, which is the symbol of emotion, the energy of motion. And so I feel like that's the fuel that fuels the car, that gets you to take action for something. And I do believe what got me through it is figuring out what my why was, right? I don't want people to suffer the way I did. If I could do anything about it, for me, it's like no brain left behind, right? Because I live with that identity for so long. And my message to people, whether it's on stage or on the podcast or anything, is that, we are more than what we're demonstrating, that we've been sold this lie, that people are taught through school. Like when I do these demos and I on stage memorize 100 names and words and numbers forwards and backwards, and it appears effortlessly, I always tell people I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's really possible, because the truth is everyone can do this too, and so much more. Apply towards creativity and focus and flow and problem solving and thinking and really overcoming the biggest challenges of their life, and maybe even the world. The challenge is we were taught a lie. We were taught a lie that somehow our intelligence, our potential, our learning, our memory somehow is fixed, our creativity is fixed, our thinking is fixed, like our shoe size. And what we've discovered, as you know, more about brain science, in the past 2 decades, we've discovered more than the previous 2,000 years. And what we know is that we're grossly underestimating our own capacity to be able to grow, to be able to contribute, to improve our intelligence and our influence and our impact. And I want to kind of pull the veil behind and just say, hey, this is about transcending. This is about ending the trance that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're not this genius, and telling the truth.
The Bible, how to set goals, how to close sales, how to plan your life. You can learn so many things while you're there in your car. Feed your mind. Second thing I would encourage you to do is start reading something good every day. Did you know if you read 20 minutes a day, and you're an average reader, that at the end of the year you will have read 20 200-page books, and that the average American only reads one good book a year? Think of what an advantage that will give you over the competition in whatever field you're in. Now, who does these things? Well, Mary Kay Ash of Mary Kay Cosmetics told me that she would never get in her car without a cassette that she could listen to while she was going somewhere. H.L. Hunt, worth $3 billion at his death, listened to cassette recordings until after he was 80 years old. Wallace Johnson, one of the co-founders of Holiday Inns International, over 80 years old, tells me he listens every day and reads at least 2 good books every month. Alan Bean, one of the astronauts who walked on the moon, told me that the astronauts on their way to the moon and back, and please understand, these people have the best self-images, the most clearly defined goals, the most positive mental attitude. They're the most confident, competent people as a group, maybe that our country has. But these people were listening to motivational recordings on their way to the moon and back. And what a delight it is for me to be able to say that some of the recordings they were listening to were fantastic. You need to feed your mind. Now, a lot of times people say, yeah, you know, when I'm down in the dumps just a little bit, I really enjoy listening because it gives me a lift. Well, I'm glad to hear that, but let me give you the most surprising news maybe you've ever heard. It's good to listen when you're down. But, folks, the ideal time to listen is when you're sky high. Let me tell you why. When you're down, sometimes you grab at straws. And sometimes you grab the wrong straw. Also, a lot of times, and here's the real benefit to listening, it triggers your imagination, stirs up all of the stored information which you already have in your mind, and a lot of the good ideas then come forth.
Do I get dinged up? Of course I do. You know what? No factor. No factor.
There's somebody else trying to get a scholarship. You're not the only one trying to go to Yale. You're not the only one trying to go to Harvard.
So therefore, number one is, first step is you got to live your calling. You got to decide what is it you love. Second thing is you've got to work on yourself.
What are you afraid of? Oh, I get it. You're afraid to fail. You're afraid to go back. No one said you had to go back. All you got to do is keep pushing. Forward, you may fall a few times. You may slip a few times, but that doesn't mean you quit. That doesn't mean you give up. That means you must find a way, and you must make a win. You got to continue to dig deeper than you ever dig in your life. Enough is enough. Enough with the excuses, enough for being complacent, enough for giving up. This is the time to recognize your purpose. This is the time for you to recognize your truth and make the most of your life. And if you're not willing to do that, then nothing's going to happen for you. Nothing is going to give you that true opportunity to be the best of yourself.
Deal with them. You know what? You know what I hear? I hear the clock ticking. That's what I hear. The end is nigh, and time waits for no man. And you young guns out there, 18 years old, 20 years old, 24 years old. Listen, life goes by, and it goes by quick. Don't waste those years. Don't waste them. Live them. I know that you don't think you're gonna live to be 30, much less 40, but you are and you will.
You're not the only one trying to go to the NBA. You're not the only one trying to go to the NFL. And so you got to do one more push-up than they're going to do. You listen to me. It's not about, listen to me. You got to embody excellence. You got to listen to me. It only takes one extra push-up. It only takes one extra mile. It only takes one extra grade. It only takes one extra effort. It only takes one extra something to get you to where you're trying to get to. And the goal is you got to go a little further than the man who's trying to get what you're trying to get. You got to stay up a little longer. Oh, you're not hearing me. I told you, your boy get up at 3 o'clock every morning because I'm not the only motivational speaker in the world doing what I'm doing. I dare you. I dare you to try to get to success without excellence. I dare you to try to shortcut success. I dare you to try to shortchange success. It's not going to happen.
And the earlier you get in the game, the better life you're going to have. Healthier, wealthier, stronger, smarter, better. Better. And if you're an old man like me, and you haven't gotten on track yet, get on track. Get on it now. Here's the deal. No complacency. No complacency. No backing off. No slack whatsoever. Fight. Fight that ticking clock with everything you got. So, like the end of a hard day, put your head down with ease. Satisfied.
There are no shortcuts to success. You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it. The only way you can get to it is through it. And so you got to embody excellence. Every single day has to be excellent. Every single day you wake up, you got to give it all you got. You got it 120%. Don't fool yourself into thinking that this year is going to be better than last year if you're still making excuses. There are no excuses. There are no good reasons. I told you before, man, you could cheat on your girl and probably get away with it. You might be able to cheat on your boy and get away with it. You could probably cheat in the sport. You could probably cheat in some things and get away with it, but you cannot cheat success. You cannot cheat success. You gotta work for it. You gotta breathe it. You gotta sleep it. You gotta eat it. You gotta put forth 120%. You can have it, you can be it, you can do it. But you gotta accept the challenge. Everywhere we go.
This is not a game, ladies and gentlemen. This is a reality check. Ask yourself, how far have you gone? How much have you given up yourself? Why do you wake up every morning with the same excuse? Why do you wake up every morning saying the same thing over and over again? Why do you feel you need that cup of coffee to start your day? Why do you feel you need to depend on your alarm clock to get up? When all you got to do is just get up, all you got to do is recognize exactly what it is that you need to do in your life now. This is the time you need to make up. This is the time you need to realize. This is the time you need to do the best that you can and give 110% of everything you got. Are you to be the easy person? Are you going to be the person that likes to go the easy way?
Write this down under work on yourself. You don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you are. You have a ministry and you have 300 people, that's a reflection of you. You have 2,000, that's a reflection of you. You have a job, you're generating $1,200 a year, or $2,000, or $500,000, whatever you earn, whatever you're producing in your life is a reflection of you. That's why it says, judge a tree by the fruit it bears. I can look at what you're producing and I can tell you a lot about who you are. And if you look at people who are living below their potential and sinning, and sin in the Aramaic language means falling short of the mark. I asked the question earlier, how many of you have goals? You raise your hands.
On the other side of making those healthy decisions, there is a reward. It's the reward of discipline. It's the reward of longevity. It's the reward of influence. It's the reward of power. Do you want results? Do you want a reward? Or do you want regrets? The decision is yours. It's all hard, so choose your hard. Pain is inevitable and it is unavoidable. Pick your pain. Everybody's got a plan until life knocks them out because we weren't ready for the pain. And when the pain came, we did not process it. Processing pain is a skill set you've got to acquire. It's a type of currency. If you want the future, if you want next level, if you want tomorrow, if you want to manifest.
You're going to go through the hurt, the pain, the blood, the sweat, and the tears to get exactly it is what you need. No one can get anywhere in life without hard work. And if you're not dedicating yourself, if you're not making the necessary sacrifices, then how can you get to that level that you want to be? Do you really understand what that means? Oh, I get it. You need your cup of coffee to start your day. You need your alarm clock to wake you up. When you take a breath, that is your alarm clock. You need energy, breathe a little bit more, and then go to work. You need to level up and you need to go up. You need to stop being complacent. You need to stop making excuses. You need to stop thinking that you don't have what it takes when you know deep Inside, you can go that far if you truly believe in yourself. You realize how many times you've said over and over again that you'll do it tomorrow.
How many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you can do more than what you've done? The majority of us raise our hands. Then that was an indication, that was testimony to reflect the fact that you operating below your potential. That's a sin. Herein my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. Didn't just say fruit, much fruit. See, when you leave here, you've got to make a commitment to be more fruitful, to be more productive, to make greater impact. So what will allow you to do that? You got to spend time working on yourself. In order to write this down, in order to do something you've never done, you've got to be someone you've never been. In order to do something you've never done, you've got to be someone you've never been. That's why Scripture says you must be born again.
If you want this thing, I don't care what it is, then you're going to have to get acquainted with pain. The pain of discipline, the pain of growth, the pain of learning, the pain of giving, the pain of forgiving. It all hurts. So pick your pain, choose your heart. Because at some juncture in life, at some corner you're going to turn, you are going to encounter pain. And you've got to process that pain well. Hear me when I say it. Pain is unavoidable. It's hard to let go of the past. It's hard to give sometimes of your time, your talent, and your treasure. It's hard to balance work life. It's hard to acquire new skills. It's hard to be stagnant. It's hard to be a workhorse. It's hard to be lazy. It's hard to learn how to manage and cultivate relationships. It's hard to learn from your experiences. It's hard to turn your mess.
You'll wait till the next day. You got time, you don't have time. Music, you want to be the best, you know what it means to be the best. You have to continue work on your craft. You have to constantly work on your craft. You can't just stay complacent. You can't be comfortable. You got to get uncomfortable and you got to go after it. Going after it every single day of your life is so important right now. Setting yourself back because you're afraid, because you don't understand. There's a lot of things that none of us understand, but that doesn't mean you stop sometimes. You got to learn as you go. You got to make the sacrifices every single day of your life. Stop depending on other people.